my Chic, Classy, Spicy family. I hope and pray that you are doing exceedingly well. I am stopping in because I really needed to share a conversation that I feel needs to be had. As a woman, I have heard on numerous occasions from other women that they do not need a man. Well, I don't agree with that comment. I agree that you should not need a man to do certain things for you. I can agree with that. However, to say that you do not need a man in a way that it is perceived as needing a man is weak or not good for you is I can't agree with that. And if you'd like to learn more about why I feel that way, stay tuned. If you're a new subscriber to the channel, thank you so very much for your support. We really appreciate it. If this is your first time looking at the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you join the Chic, Classy, Spicy family. And for my current subscribers, you know how I feel about you guys. Thank you so much for sharing, liking, and commenting, and coming back every time we have a video. It means more than you know. Okay, so I don't agree with women who say that they do not need a man. Here's my reason why. It has a negative connotation because society has told us that it is wrong in some way to need a man. I'm not certain what they really mean about that, but for me, let me explain what needing a man to me means. And again, this is my opinion. First, let me preface it by saying this. I am made in God's image. So I am already complete. I do not need a man to complete me. So if the perception that needing a man is going to complete you, then yes, you're right. You don't need a man. You need to spend some more time doing some self-introspection and getting to know who you are so that you can realize that you are already complete and you are not missing anything, because God does not make any mistakes. You are made in His image. So only thing you need to do is to be in His will so that you can continue to live a life more abundantly, and He will send you a wonderful, God-fearing, God-loving man that will magnify, hear what I said, magnify the completeness that you already have in Him, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The first reason why I don't believe that we don't need a man. To say that we don't need a man would be to deny that God did not create us to be a helpmate to man. Did you understand what I said? God created woman from the rib of man to be a helpmate for man. That in and of itself creates a need, a desire for a man, because you were created from Him by God. Not to be His servant, not to be His slave, not to be His sex goddess, but to be a helpmate, a companion, someone to support Him, to appreciate Him, to respect Him, to love Him, to lift Him up, to help him stay on the straight and narrow, to continue to be the God-loving, God-fearing man that he is and should be or could be. Because sometimes that woman is put into that man's life to help him become the man of God that he could be and should be. I know I probably said a mouthful, but let's think about it. When you're laying in your bed at night and you're alone, what are you wishing for? Typically when we're laying in our bed alone and we're saying, oh my God, I am so lonely. I wish I had someone to hug me. I wish I had someone to talk to me. I wish I had someone to take me out to dinner, to treat me like a lady, to treat me like a queen. That is your need for things that a God-loving, a God-fearing man can bring to you. There is nothing wrong with needing a man in your life. if you already know that you are complete in God, it is normal to need someone, a man in your life. Well, needing that man to provide those things that God has innately put in us to desire from the man is not weak. You are honoring the way God made you. You are honoring God. He put that desire in you. He made woman not from dirt like he did man. He made woman from Adam's rib bone. So you are from him. You are supposed to want to have that connection with a male. There is nothing wrong with that, needing a man. Because I'll be honest with you, I need my James. He brings stability to my world. He brings love, unconditional love to my world. He brings affection. He brings affirmation. He brings strong leadership to my world. He brings comfort to my world. Let me give you an example. The other day I was dealing with a family situation and James wasn't around. And I was so bothered by the situation that I was crying, literally crying. I was actually praying to God, but I just couldn't stop crying. So I picked up the phone and I called James and I said, James, I am really having a hard time communicating with God right now. I really need you to pray with me and pray over me. That is what James brings to me. That is something that I can't get from my girlfriends. I can't get it from my mother. And what I'm not saying that they can't pray with me or pray over me. It is a difference. It's just like when you are in a relationship, you have children, you love that person, you're the father of your children, differently than you love your children. It's supposed to be that way. We're supposed to be loved by the men in our lives differently because it is a set order. God is a God of order. It says in Ephesians that women are to respect the men and men are to love the woman. There's a reason for that. Respect him. Let him lead in your house. Those are the things that we're looking for. How many of us are going to work every single day and we have to lead? By the time lunchtime comes, we are exhausted because guess what? We just don't even want to lead anymore sometimes. We are exhausted. To come home and still have to do the same thing is exhausting. So having a man can balance some of that out for you. The reason why God created the union of marriage, because they were supposed to balance each other out. He with respect, what the woman gives him, her love that he gives her, and it balances it out. So having that desire and need for a man, that's nothing wrong with that. That is so normal. That is so beautiful. Stop denying yourself something that is beautiful, that is designed by God so that your life, the completeness of your life is magnified. It is even more beautiful. You're living life more abundantly. Second, to say that you need a man simply means that you recognize that you have an innate desire to share your life with someone, that you realize that independence and self-sufficiency are both overrated. When I look up the word for independence, it says not letting anything interfere with one's freedom. Nothing hindering someone from doing whatever they want to do. Well, personally, I think that most of us would like to be able to go home to someone, to have someone to lean on when things don't necessarily go the way that we like them to. Someone to confide in, to share our innermost secrets and thoughts with and fears. If you don't have someone to do that with, and yes, you can do that with friends and family members and so forth, but that's a different type of sharing. Typically, we may not share our innermost fears, our thoughts, certain things with our best friends because, let's be realistic, we don't necessarily feel most of the time that we can truly share a lot of those things for fear of being judged or other reasons. It just is what it is. When you are in a relationship with a man, you're supposed to be able to let everything go and just be yourself. You're supposed to be able to be vulnerable enough to be transparent and open so that that person can help you shoulder the burden of those fears. Not only just shoulder those fears for you, but also help you to overcome those fears. So there's something to be said about not being 100% independent. And let's talk about self-sufficiency. I know for me, I am self-sufficient right now. I paid all of my bills myself. Have no problem with that. That's a wonderful thing to be able to do. It is a blessing to be able to do it. And I give God all praise for that. But it would be nice to not have to shoulder everything myself. It would be nice to be able to depend on someone else every now and then. So it's not that great if you really sit down and think about it. It's great to be able to buy your own home, buy your own car, pay for your own trips, buy your own stuff, whatever that may be that makes you happy. But let's also think about it in a different way. If there was someone else to help with those things, there would be more money for you to do other things. There would be more time for you to do other things. So having a man in your life, needing a man in your life is not a bad thing. And it's certainly not something that you should be ashamed of saying. It simply means that you realize, and going back to point number 1, that God intended for us to have companionship, to need one another, to want and desire one another. Number 3, the reason I think that a lot of women are saying they don't need a man is also because we've heard a lot of times that a man will say, I don't want to be needed, I want to be wanted. Well, I'm calling that a bunch of crap, and here's why. If I need a man in my life, that means I have certain expectations that he will provide stability, security, protection, intimacy on every level, affection, affirmation, appreciation, love. Those are things that someone who is genuinely concerned, genuinely loves you, wants to provide to you. They can't help but provide those things to you because they know your worth. They know that you are a blessing from God. Remember, he that findeth a good wife findeth a good thing. He recognizes that. Yes, we all want to be wanted, but we can live without our wants. We can't live without our needs. So when someone tells me that I want to be wanted, what you're telling me is that I need you to only give me just enough, or because I'm only going to give you just enough to keep you in this little thing that we have. I'm not really committed to going the 100 miles. I really just want to go, let's say 50, 60, maybe we'll get to 70. Well, I want all of it. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why, is because women are trying to accommodate what men are saying so that they're not left lonely, that they're not alone, that they are not asking for more than what someone is willing to give them. And to that I say, exit stage left to that gentleman. Because you should have some non-negotiables that you have set for yourself. And some of those non-negotiables should be those things that I just said. You want stability, you want security, you want protection, you want intimacy on every level, emotional, spiritual, physical, sexual. You want stimulating conversation, you want appreciation, you want everything that goes with being someone's helpmate. Just like your goal is to support them, lift them up, help them when they're falling down, be there for them in every capacity, that is what that person is supposed to be for you as well. So I really think that that is part of the reason why a lot of women are saying that they don't need a man also, because you hear that all the time. But again, I'm calling that a cop-out on the part of men, and I am saying to women, run, don't walk when you hear that. Women, if you don't run when you hear that from a man, you will always be fighting for making sure your needs are met. And that goes back to the 5 love languages. When those needs are not met, whatever your primary love language is, you will always be constantly in a state of frustration, a state of hurt, of pain, of rejection, not understanding why this person can't love you the way you deserve to be loved. So again, when you hear, no, I don't want a woman to need me, just let him go, because he is not willing to invest in giving his best so that your needs are met, not simply your wants. And you deserve better than that. The 4th reason why women say they don't need a man is because they don't realize that they're not fully being the feminine woman that they truly can be. Yes, they are walking in their femininity to some degree, but walking around not ever needing a man to provide certain things for you prevents you from being that soft person that you can be in a lot of cases. And let me give you an example. We dress up, we put our makeup on, we look wonderful, but we also have to put on different faces. We have to put on our game face when we're at work. We have to put on our I am not bothered face when someone says something to us and you know we want to snatch them into a knot. There's so many faces that we are walking around with, and how do we and when are we able to ever truly be who we really are? Needing and being with a man provides that space, that safe place for you to be no one but you. You don't have to put on your game face. You don't have to be ready to go at it if someone comes at you from the left. When you're at work all day, you have to stave off various arrows from this place and that place, and you have to stay on top of your game. So when do you get a chance to truly be your feminine self? For instance, a lot of times when we're at work, and I'm an emotional woman, I cry. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm mad. So if something bothers me, the first emotion that I'm going to go to is I'm going to cry, because it has built up inside of me and I have to find a release. If I don't release through the crying of tears, I'm going straight into my flesh, and I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret and be totally out of God's will. So the best thing for me to do is to let those tears flow. I can't do that at work. And allowing myself to cry allows me to be in that place of femininity that is vulnerable, that is transparent, that is open, that is authentically me. I can't do that at my place of work. I can't do that and know that I'm not going to be perceived as weak. It's just not possible. So needing a man in your life gives you that safe haven to do so, to just be who you are. That goes back to wanting to share your life with someone, because now, kind of like the Whitney Houston song, she said that when she unlocked the door, there was no one there waiting for her. There was nobody there she could lean on their shoulder and just let the tons of bricks that were on her shoulder from being out in that world, being beat up on, that could actually hug those things away, that could touch, caress those things away, that could actually be upset with you and ready to do the darn thing for you. That's what needing a man is about. It is not that you are not strong enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, can't handle your own bills, can't handle fixing the water heater or install the thermostat, changing your tire, changing your oil. That's not what it's about. It's about allowing us to do all of these things, to be a helpmate, to share our lives, to have our needs met in the most intricate, in the most beautiful way that it was meant to be, and to be that feminine woman and have it all balanced by that masculinity that a man brings into our lives. And my last point to you is this. I think it's in 1 Corinthians 11:7, somewhere in there. It says that man is the image and glory of God. It goes on to say that the woman is the glory of man. Yes, it was talking about from a position in the church and prayer and so forth. But think about that. We always hear about Michelle and Barack Obama or any successful man, that behind him is always a good woman. Why do you think that's the case? Because it says it right there in the word that the woman is the glory of man. Yes, it says it. But it also goes on in that script, in that chapter, and I can't remember what scripture it is. I could look it up, but I will leave it in the link below. But it also goes on to say that neither is superior over the other, neither is independent of the other. So they are connected. They're not independent, that they need one another. So to say that you don't need a man, again, is going against everything that God has created for the union of man and woman in holy matrimony at some point in your life. There is nothing wrong with it. We need people. We need love. And if you have an opportunity to connect with a wonderful person, why would you deny needing him in your life? I say it is not weak to say that you need a man. I said it is very strong, very courageous, very brave of you to say that I need a man in my life, because it allows me the opportunity to magnify the completeness that I already have. It is a blessing from God to allow me to be connected to someone else in so many beautiful ways. No, needing a man is not weak. What is weak is saying that you don't need a man when you know darn well that sitting in the movie theater by yourself holding your hands, what does that give you? At night, you're in bed by yourself and you're wishing for someone to caress you, to hold you. Maybe you need to cry and there's no one there that can wipe away your tears except yourself. Denying yourself the beauty of a need that God innately put in you, that's what's weak. Again, this is simply my opinion. I would love to hear your comments. As I've shared my opinion respectfully, I would ask that you would leave your comments respectfully as well. And I will comment back, and I have a very open mind. But this again is what I've come to believe for myself because of the relationships that I've been in. Thank you so very much for listening. Again, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on our other social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook. And again, have an awesome one on purpose. Keep it chic, classy, Spicy.
Hard as I try, my lips will tremble on your name.